Thanks for coming out and watching the oxymoronic Reddit Professional Show, where I showcase the best and worst of the internet. Here I comment on brilliant and hilarious comment chains regarding dumb shit on the internet for you to enjoy. Make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell button so that you get notifications every time we come up with a new video. Enjoy this week's show.
Landlord dump. I currently have 4 rentals. One is a single mom who works at a bar. I reached out to her the day my state announced all bars to be closed for 30 days. I've avoided her messaging me awkwardly. She's been a good tenant, always paid on time or earlier, and has updated the property by a few $100 with improvements she can't take with her. I told her if she had the extra money she could pay, if not, then please keep her money and we could square up whenever she could. She told me she could pay half. I told her it was up to her, and I wouldn't press her until this stuff got sorted out, but I would be keeping accurate records. It's easy to be heartless in the REI game. But at the end of the day, treating people like you wanted to be treated usually ends well. Especially when it's a good person and they aren't paying not cause they don't want to, but literally because they can't. Anyway, there's my dump for the night. It's always the right thing to do the right thing. Maybe it bites me in the butt and I lose money. And maybe my reserves go crazy low, but I'll sleep well at night. Good move. I believe people like your tenant will get the temporary help they need, but it won't be 100% of what they would make. I spoke with one of my tenants who is a bartender. He said he's good for now due to saving up, but I told him to let me know. Agreed. Hard to say how hard this will really hit tenants once bailouts start happening. For now, I expect many tenants to have a problem paying all of their rent or paying on time. I'm actually amazed how well my tenants are handling this. Spoke to several already, and all are expecting to stay current. Good call on this. Not only is it the right thing to do, but on top of that, landlords who are heavy-handed with tenants who are out of work because of this epidemic are going to be vilified. Don't be that person. Unemployed people also becoming homeless will make our whole economy even harder to fix later, including real estate. Difficult with some of my other tenants. I have one in education and my wife is a teacher in the same county, so I know she's getting paid. Very difficult with that one. Feeling sympathetic, but no rent money X's 4 for 3 months will sink my boat. Curious, what did you have planned for your reserves? I try to keep 6 months of expenses. I have 3/1S and 3/1.5 in decent/old areas, and it's not uncommon for me to do an open house and have 10 to 12 decent people interested. I have never had a vacancy of over 8 days in 5 years. I try to treat my tenants well and they let me show the place. So, not uncommon to have a moving party. I'll hire 2 to 3 guys and have them help both groups move in and out. With that said, hubris. So, my wife and I purchased a much bigger home than we need with our rent income reserves, and we bought a lot of new furniture and were fairly generous to our families over Christmas. So, I'm sitting at 3 months of living, rentals included, expenses. My wife and I will both be maintaining our jobs over. So, I guess with our income and $2,000 from the gov, maybe it'd be closer to 4 to 5 months until we tanked if tenants all stopped paying. Have a lot of crap we could sell between now and officially tanking. Had someone no-show move in day yesterday. They then texted me threatening litigation as the house was a dump, etc. But I was at the property all day doing final cleanings and he never came to move in. Gave them full refund on security/rent and assumed they were laid off and couldn't handle an adult conversation. Bullet dodged, I would say, eek. Yep, good tenants are worth a discount and bad tenants are worth being paid to get out. Thanks for sharing. Rental property 5 closing next week and I'm nervous about trying to find the right tenants with all this craziness. I care more about how they make money and if they strike me as trustworthy when I meet them. Most people likely think I'm insane, but a 15-minute conversation means more than a credit check to me. Yep. I'd highly recommend checking out the book, Talking to Strangers, by Gladwell. I still go with my gut, but it's crazy how everyone think I'm good at spotting a liar, and we are not. Totally agree. I more so like to understand how people process things and approach life. I just assume everyone is lying to me. The biggest problem is that some tenants will take advantage of you. I mean the give an inch, take a mile, types. I made a rule and told everyone you get one free one, the second one has a fee, the third means eviction. That helped to corral the tenant who was frequently late with rent. Or the one whose rent check was always short a couple of hundred. Or the one who parked their car in the wrong spot. Or the one who had loud parties until 2 a.m. Or the one selling drugs out of their place. Or the one who had friends who liked to show up early in the morning on loud motorcycles. Or the one who clogged the toilet up with paper towels. Or the one who tried to install an air conditioner in the window themselves that fell 2 stories and luckily didn't hurt anyone. On the other hand, these are extraordinary circumstances, so we're all just going to have to go the extra mile and make it work. Yes. Seen these renters, too. I'll help people who are actually responsible and doing what they can to do right. The dodgy ones, not so much. Yep. Inch to a mile. One tenant in the first 3 months literally stuck his hand down a toilet and helped me snake it, no gloves, was nasty. We took the toilet off at like 3 a.m. and he worked through night with me and never asked for a dime off rent. Then 6 months later, uses deposit, skips town, and had the water/lights bill run up and shut off. You never know. Sometimes it's taken inch to a mile, sometimes the renter life is just very, very transient most of the time. Sometimes the renter life is just very, very transient. I know you made this post to have all the feels, but you sound very condescending and disconnected with the real world that your tenants are facing. It is good that you are considering your tenant's job situation, but it sounds more like an opportunity to humble brag to me. And a landlord collecting rent is not heartless. Please stop perpetuating this myth that all landlords are evil and deserve whatever they get. Most state laws are already tenant-friendly, and quite frankly, most landlords are doing the same thing, and not feeling the need to humble brag about it online. BC keeping a happy and healthy tenant is a wise investment decision, given the deferment options being presented, vs attempting to evict a tenant when courts will most certainly back whatever tenant rights they have or adopt in the next few weeks, and the future of replacing the tenant is uncertain. So, while what you're doing is a good thing, both for tenants and for your near-term strategy, can you maybe calm down that you're a walking saint right now? You're still just a landlord, and by your accounts, landlords are on the wrong side of heaven. Except for you, of course, the everyman. Good one. Have 4 kids living upstairs from me in our second unit. One of them has always been late with his 1/4 of the rent. He's a massage therapist. He had finally gotten a job last year with someplace big enough to offer him benefits and regular paychecks. Obviously, he's now going to be out of work for months. I told him to pay me what he can once he figures out unemployment and whatever federal assistance comes down the pike. I can float him for a while. But if his 3 roommates also lose their incomes, I'm going to be in real trouble after a few months. Meanwhile, I'm on month 3 of ownership of a 22-unit Class C property in Texas. Those tenants were already living on the edge. With only 2 months of income so far, I have pretty much no reserves. I'm expecting 50% of those people will just not pay in April, even if they have jobs, since evictions are halted. Gonna be tough to hold onto that if something doesn't change. Ouch. This whole thing is why I'll never go multifamily. Just too scary, lose the personal connections, and just blah. Black swans like this are the reason I'll never do single-family rentals. Restaurant worker, no income. My multifamily has everything from healthcare workers, white-collar pharma, DOD, and grocery store workers. One can't pay. I've got several others who will. My risk is limited. In theory. It's a stretch to say high-paying jobs and low-paying jobs live in the same building. Obviously, with this situation it's wild. Walmart truck driver gets a raiser and OT, gas truck driver gets cut. So, diversity is always good, but I'd imagine most non-government aid multifamily is about to feel the burn. I'd love for you to do a follow-up here in 2 to 3 months and prove me wrong. Thank you for doing that. You don't have to. Presumably you're not in LA where we've banned evictions for the moment, but it's a human thing to do. I think the human cost from this is going to be massive, and it's going to be almost entirely borne by the lower income brackets. I suppose Uncle Sugar is going to send me $1,000. I'd rather they sent $10,000 to someone in dire straits, your tenant, say. She needs a hand more than I do, as do and will millions more like her. I'm a multifamily broker, and my clients and I are pretty convinced that Class B and C property owners and residents are going to get hit hard by this. Lots of unrecoverable bad debt, mostly. But it won't hurt valuations for the long haul. It's a blip and should be in the rear view come fourth quarter. 2 GDP forecasts I've seen by UCLA and Chapman University project positive GDP growth in the fourth quarter after 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. Chris Thornburg of Beacon Economics is more reserved, so far. Hope the good karma comes back at you. Thanks, we'll look that article up. I hope so. Located in FL, very landlord friendly. My grandfather would say what is right and what is wrong. You are doing the right thing. I am sure your parents alive or no longer with us are proud that you are not heartless. Although this is a business, it is not just business. When I was a child, my mother lost her job and could not make her mortgage payment. She spoke with the old bank owner who was a family friend. He decided to pause my mother's payments till she got on her feet. He never asked anything of her other than to pay everything back when she could. I am sure he too slept well knowing he was not kicking children out on the street. He lived till he was almost 100. Maybe good karma brings a longer life. May you and your kind heart live a long time. N.A.'s Dravy. N.A.'s Dravy. Thanks you for sharing.
If you enjoyed this week's effective way to waste time, hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. If you are enjoying the series, leave me a comment below. A special shout out to the content creators. You frickin' rock.